storage or used plants, that you want to know what's going on around it, because there's all sorts of stuff in here that I probably don't know in very minute amounts, but I'd like to be safe. But that's a sign of spring, tasty plant. People like to make jams out of it, pies, all sorts of stuff. Put them in smoothies. There's a park by my house that I don't know the name of, but I just call it the dewberry park because it's covered in dewberries there. So I'm waiting. So this area is home to vultures and a handful of other birds. There's these cute little black and white birds down here called the Carolina chickadees. They're pretty noisy. I don't think they're out yet today. Aw, this looks nice. So this is another sycamore tree that's budding. It's just a little baby, but that will grow potentially as big as those other ones back there. So I've been walking around the park here lately, seeing what's all budding, signs of spring. Feels good.
It does.
So notice this spot also has water, which is kind of weird, but I am convinced that there's a crack over here that's directly connected to the spring, because there's always water here. Even during triple digits, when everything else is completely dry, there's water here. That's why we have these cattails growing. Y'all familiar with cattails?
Oh yes.
Corn dog? Kind of looks like a
face.
Yeah, kind of looks like a corn dog. I like it. I've been told, and I haven't tried it, that when these are young, they taste like cucumbers.
What?
I guess.
We didn't
The
put them in our
little
mouth.
leaves. I've never.
The one thing.
I've never thought of that before. The leaves have been used in the past to weave or make cordage out of. It's good for that. Just like the mullein and lighting that on fire, that works as a good torch too. I think that one would fall apart a little faster. But almost every aspect of this plant is also useful, medicinal, in some sort of fashion. And I never knew that until I just decided to look it up while I was working here.
And now we know. Thank you. Cucumbers.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to, I don't know. I'm good with real cucumbers. So you see how big of a mound this is here? So that if that gives you an idea too of how strong this water is, not only is it getting high, but it has the force to push all this gravel down and make these gravel bars all throughout here. I've seen this flowing a few times. Hasn't been too crazy, but again, I've been told the water was above our heads. This was during the 2015 flood that came through the hill country. So in May, they had a huge flood. And then again in October that year, they had another huge flood. And the ground was still completely saturated. That the second flood was just, people lost their houses, their cars. So you had mentioned that you moved to the Houston area, right?
San Antonio.
San Antonio area.
You're fine.
So they have a lot of natural areas there too. Thankfully they're not on the coast, because there's a lot of roads and cement there as well. So they're definitely battling the aspect of trying to get back to working with nature instead of against it. It's very serious thing here. So although we're in drought right now, we get hit with these huge floods.
How long has the drought been happening in the area?
I'm gonna say we've hit drought periods every year that I've lived here.
Okay.
So I've lived in Texas for 6 years.
Okay.
I've grew up in Texas and it's always been. So
Okay.
it's always drought season. Always.
Yeah. So this is the backflow of the dry creek. I like to poke around this area. It doesn't look too good right now. We are experiencing some algae, again, from the runoff from the neighborhoods. We do water testing here regularly though. So unlike Lady Bird Lake or in Austin where they have issues where you can't even let your dog go in the water, this is non-toxic as of now. And there's some little fish flowing in here. They're really tiny. Yes.
You saw that?
And yes. I've never been able to get this close to them because they always, they hear me coming. but they almost sound like a little alarm clock if you like hang around down here long enough and they start chirping. I didn't know what it was. I heard the sound up near the top entrance and I thought it was the electrical line, just something making noise, but it's these frogs and they get loud. But a lot of things will call this area home. Again, it might not look like much, but there's a lot happening here. Totally different plants than there were back there. I have no idea what these guys are, but they're cute. Another plant that will show you, a plant that will show you that you're next to water is this one right here. There's a little more back that way. So had we not seen this water and just walked up on these plants, you would know it's nearby. This is Bushy Bluestem. It likes wet feet. This is a native grass. It's got long roots. When this is in bloom, it looks like a silvery paintbrush. So if y'all are into nature crafts and stuff like that, this is a fun tool to play with. Kids definitely love this. This is great for like a sensory garden. I really like that. What is that? That is not a flower. That is trash. I thought that was a flower growing. We have tried to plant some cypress trees. Actually, that's probably what those are. Cypress trees around here. This is Cypress Creek, but you don't see any. I always thought that it was just because of the floods coming through, but then I put 2 and 2 together. People would use that for lodging, so they would cut down the trees to make boats, to make houses, all sorts of stuff. So we don't have a lot here.
Tend to name places after the things that
They don't have anymore, right?
yeah.
So is there really a well?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
gonna walk to it.
Okay, just making sure, because
Yes. I like this plant here. This is Indian sea oats. When these are green, they look really cute. They kind of look like little fish. Some people make earrings out of them. They're cute. And I just like the way that they sound when they're blown in the wind. Again, I'm a huge plant person. I love connecting with them. So you'll notice that. And there is another cool one coming back in over here. It's really small right now. I'm not going to touch that because that was an old ant mound. But this right here, actually I can pull it. This grows prolifically. People definitely think this is a weed or an invasive. If you want to touch it, you can. If you want to smell it, I would. It smells to me like a cross between lavender and rosemary.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Yeah. I love this plant. It smells good. It helps me feel grounded sometimes. I like smelling plants. But this is called mugwort. It's in the same family. It's in the family of the Artemisia. If y'all have heard of absinthe. So wormwood is in the same family as this. Wormwood is actually the plant that they would use to put in absinthe for the sleepy, weird, hallucinogenic effects. So some people call this a sleepy herb. You can use this in your tea. It's calming. It's not gonna like knock you out. It's not like a sedative, but it is good for your nervous system. It helps you stay calm. So I like this one, even if you're just holding it and feeling it and smell it. Just put it back.
Right.
Yeah.
You see me in my car later, sniffing and petting this. Just keep it pushing.
So yeah, that can take over like crazy. I had forged one and put it in my garden. It was a small thing. It took over. Now I'm trying to control it. So just be careful what you plant where. Yeah, I really like that one.
Do y'all have like different type of cactus?
Yeah, so that is a prickly pear cactus. It's usually a lot greener, and it will grow. You're familiar with this one at all? Okay.
Well, I've seen them.
So yeah, this will grow a big yellow flower. Kind of looks like a cup. Really good for pollinators. You're going to see all sorts of bees and little guys hanging out in there. Every part of this plant's also beneficial. So those pads on the inside are very fibrous. Some people would peel off the outer layer and use the inside as a loofah for showering because it works as a sponge. You can also cook and cut those up and put them in stir fry or fry them, salt and pepper. I see people doing that all the time at one of our other parks in the summer while they're grilling out. They've got they just got a cactus.
Interesting.
It is full of calcium, vitamin C, fiber, protein. The fruits are my favorite part. They're very seedy, but they work good in lemonades, teas. You can again make jam, jelly with it.
Margaritas.
Yeah. On the clock, so I mentioned that. Yes, and that. There's prickly pear margaritas at restaurants, and that's what that comes from.
Oh.
Yep. So there's prickly pear, even like kombuchas and juices. It all comes from that plant right there. And on the fruit are really teeny tiny thorns. So be careful if you ever touch it. Those are called glockids. They stick in your skin very easily. I learned that the hard way. So handle with gloves, or just don't touch it. So here's some evidence of RV site through piping. No idea where that goes to. Hopefully it's electrical line. Again, want to leave that there because we don't want to disturb the soil. This whole area essentially takes care of itself. We don't really do a whole lot of planting back here, just weed eating. This is where the tennis courts used to be, all back here, right next to the waterway down there. So there's still a neighborhood back in this area, but this is all protected, being a Hays County Parks from future development. So no one will be able to turn this into anything but keep it as a park.
And that's only been since 2010.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
Took a few years before that. There's some stuff in the works, but yeah, wasn't actually worked on or had staff members until then. So this whole back area on this side is 9 acres out of our roughly 84 acres here.